Hey guys, this is Merlini and Merlini Dota bringing you TI4 Qualifier Predictions for Europe. So these 4 pages in the compendium are all for the Europe qualifiers. When it says across all games in the qualifier, it means the Europe qualifier. They could have made it a little bit more clear, but I'll emphasize that one more time. All of these predictions are for only the European qualifiers. And selections close in about 10 hours from now. We're giving you the first 3 qualifier regions to analyze before you make these predictions for Europe. So wait until the last day of China action has to finish before we gather all the data. So first page, data from a single game. A lot of my predictions come from analyzing multiple sources, Dota, my own view on the teams, my own view on how the whole qualifier is going to go, like whether they're evenly matched or there's just going to be a lot of stomps. There's an article on Join Dota. There's a lot of articles on Reddit, so you can peruse those resources if you so wish, or you can go with what I'm gonna predict, which is a medley of the information that I gathered online and my own personal thoughts. So without further ado, in a single game, most kills across both teams, 81 to 100 or 101 to 120 seem like the most viable choices. EU tends to be a little bit more bloodbathy than, let's say, China, but still it's pretty hard to break the 100 kill threshold. 81 to 100 is a pretty safe choice here. Largest critical hit, there's a lot of variables that you need to consider in this particular category. This one is very, very difficult to predict, and anything from 1000 to the 2001 and more is a good prediction. So I'm going with a one on the lower end for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I think if there's going to be a PA, then it's probably going to be a lot higher, especially if they win the game. So do you think PA is going to be picked? If so, then probably go on to the higher end. If not, then go on the lower end. Secondly, rapiers obviously add a lot. Like Ember Spirits with rapier and Daedalus is going to be absolutely ridiculous in terms of largest critical hits. So you have to consider that. But the reason why I chose a pretty low one, 1201 to 1400, is because a lot of the very popular carries nowadays aren't actually good Daedalus holders. So Morphling usually goes for stat items, EB, Lincolns, Butterfly, Scotty, not usually crit. Anti-mages don't usually go for crit either. I guess that was more relevant for the China qualifiers, but still he doesn't usually go for crit. Naga Sirens don't usually go for crit either. It's Manta, Bots, Manta, Bots, Radiance, Heart, Butterfly, and then sometimes Diffusal, sometimes a different item, maybe Scotty or something like that, but usually not Daedalus. So you have to consider the popular carries, what items do you think they're going to go for, and how long the game's going to last too. In like a 2-hour marathon, like one game of Chinese qualifiers, yes, people are going to hit very, very hard. But if you don't think the games are going to last that long, it's going to last like, a little over an hour, then a lower number is probably a little bit a safer bet. Highest GPM, 801 to 900 is pretty safe bet. Some of the games have a little bit less than that, but 801 to 900 is pretty safe. You can go 900 plus if you think that a lot of the games are going to be stomps, and the games are going to end around that time of maximum GPM, but I think a lot of the teams are fairly evenly matched in this qualifier, so I'll go with 801 to 900. Pretty safe bet. Latest First Blood in America and SEA was 6 to 8 minutes, although America it was on the longer end, 7:45. 9 to 11 I believe was the answer of China qualifiers. Probably pick one of those two. I'll just go with 6 to 8 because I think it more resembles NA Dota than it does the other two regions. So most courier kills, this is highly dependent on how many times you think Nature's Prophet is going to be picked. So I don't think that a lot of these teams have been picking Nature's Prophet recently, and I don't think that Nature's Prophet is just that popular in this particular style of play that we're seeing in the middle of May. So two pretty safe bet. Earliest Roshan, before the Horn, after the Horn, we've seen a couple of level 1 Roshans. Seen a lot of level 1 Roshan fails. And I asked Fogged about this. He said definitely before the Horn. I'll go with what he says. Sounds good. Rampages, 0 to 5. Rampages are rare. Like I highly doubt there's gonna be more than 5. I think even a couple of the other ones, a couple of the other qualifiers, there were actually 0 Rampages. Kills by neutrals, I actually originally put 6 to 8, but the data actually suggests that 0 to 2 might be one of the best choices. I think there'll be a lot of fights around Roshan. I'm going to go with 3 to 5. Not very confident in this one. 0 to 2, probably a safer bet, but feeling a little feisty. 3 to 5 it is. Allied hero denies. Apparently Bloodstone denies count as allied hero denies. So the Bloodstone heroes, Tinker, Death Prophet, Timbersaw, I would say. Maybe Storm Spirit too. Although Storm Spirit usually doesn't need to deny himself. You'll have to take that into consideration. And also you have to consider the damage over time heroes that you can actually deny, like Doombringer and I think Venomancer are the big 2. And I know that the Europe teams generally like to pick Doom a lot, so I'll go with 9 through 12. Total courier kills 21 to 25 seems about right considering data. Longest game time, the Chinese games, I think it was 111 to 120 was the one for that, but 71 to 80 is probably a little bit longer than what the data suggests. From what I saw of the data, it looks like 61 through 70 might be a slightly better choice. But I think since a lot of the teams are a little bit more evenly matched than some of the other qualifiers, and the fact that they have a lot to play for and are very unwilling to GG out when the game looks over and will tend to drag it on, I'll push it over into the 71 to 80 mark, even though a lot of data suggests 61 through 70 is a little bit better. And that's a personal feel. Go to 61 to 70 if you don't have the same feels. Shortest game time, 9 to 12 was the answer in America. 17 to 20 was the answer in SEA. 11 minutes, 20 minutes, and 10 minutes were the 3. I'll go with a little bit in between, 13 to 16. Sub 13-minute GG is pretty rare, I'd say. If it's like closer to the end of the qualifiers where no one has anything to play for anymore and it's 2 like lower tier teams, or if it's just like the top team versus the last team and they might just crush them, that will probably lead to sub 13-minute GG. So I'm not very confident in this one. This one I would pick 9 to 12 or 13 to 16 for sure though. Aegis snatches, there were 3 in America qualifiers, 4 in the SEA qualifiers, and this one's a little difficult. I don't think there'll be that many though. I'm just going to go through 1 through 3, although 4 to 6 is a very reasonable choice. So, in a single game, heroes with the most kills. This is pretty much what you think Pycat is going to play the most. That's probably your best bet. Fog said he plays a lot of Mirana. Mirana's been picked a lot. Someone else could get the most kills, but most likely is going to be the best team. So just going to go with Mirana. Mirana will probably be choices for a lot of them, as you see. Heroes with the most deaths, Nyx Assassin or Wisp, probably your main 2 choices. I think Wisp will probably be banned out a lot or just not picked. So I'm just going to go with Nyx. Heroes with most assists, there are a ton of heroes that are going to take this category. Clockwork, Sand King, etc., etc. I'm just going to go with Darkseer since he seems to be a pretty popular choice for offlaner nowadays. Heroes with most last hits, the heroes that are the most popular, I say, are like Naga, Luna, and Morphling. I think the Europeans tend to pick Naga a little bit more than the other regions. It's a toss-up between those 3. I'll go with Naga Siren. It's a little bit safer, I'd say, and I know that some of the players, like Unicorn, for example, like the Naga Siren. Hero with the highest GPM, it was, I think, Anti-Mage in the China qualifiers. Luna is a pretty solid choice. You can't really go wrong with Luna for this one. A lot of the highest GPM records are held by Luna, or so I'm led to believe. Hero with most tower damage, this one's pretty tough. Lycan, Luna, or Tiny are my main 3. Lycan gets banned a fair amount and hasn't actually been run terribly effectively recently, so I'm not actually too sure about this pick. Tiny, he doesn't get picked that often, but he does a lot of tower damage. Luna is kind of the middle of the ground, gets picked more often than both of these two, but also doesn't actually do as much tower damage as like a straight tower sieger like Lycan or Tiny. So this one's pretty tough. I'm gonna go with Lycan. I think somebody will play him well when he slips by. And then hero with highest total healing. Apparently the two contenders are Dazzle and Keeper Light. I'm just gonna go with Dazzle. Like Roxkiss loves this hero, and just a stable hero in general for most teams lineup. Keeper Light Ags is not as common, and although we did see it a lot in America, wasn't in too much of the other ones. But Coddle's a honorable mention. You can definitely pick that if you think the teams are going to pick Coddle. Across all games in the qualifier here with most kills, Mirana gets picked every game or every other game, and just pick Mirana. Heroes with most deaths, probably one of the supports could be Shadow Demon, could be Rubik, could be Wisp, depending on what you think is going to be picked. Shadow Demon's, I think, is going to be picked a little bit more than Rubik, so I'll go with Shadow Demon here. Heroes with most assists, Mirana gets picked almost every game, so just pick Mirana. Hero picked the most, as I said, Mirana. Hero banned the most, Batrider or Lycanthrope. I'd say Batrider, though, especially for Europe Dota. It's a pretty safe bet. Heroes with the most First Bloods, there's a lot of them with a, like 6 to 8 range. Treant Protector, Shadow Demon, Mirana even. I'll go with Tree since some of the teams like Tree a lot. Number of heroes never picked or banned. I believe it was 16 to 20 for America and SEA. China was a little bit higher, but again, the EU qualifiers tend to resemble NA a little bit more than the other two regions, so I'll be going with 16 through 20. I'll post like a TL didn't watch link in the details if you just want to click on imager links of these pages, these 4 pages rather, and I will be on the TI4 NA hub casting these games in 10 hours and 6 minutes, so make sure you tune into that, beyondthesummit.tv for all 4 of the stream links. And if you don't like our casts or you like the other people more, you can always go to TI4 EU hub hosted by the Good Studio. So hope you guys pay attention to this one. First place probably going to be Dog, but there should be a lot more exciting games. I think Europe Dota is a ton more exciting to watch than some of the other more bland styles of Dota. So interested to see how the CIS and the rest of the Europe teams will match up. So thank you guys for watching. If you like my videos, you can follow me on youtube.com/Merlini Dota, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all the same /Merlini Dota. Thank you guys again. I'm trying to make more content for the TI4 qualifiers, but again, pay attention to the cast. A lot of fun stuff going on there. Thank you guys for watching.